All right. Hey, everybody. Hope y'all are having a wonderful and blessed day today. Welcome to the One Day Closer podcast. I am your host, Jay. So happy to be here again. Trying to get season 2 running here. So, season 2, episode 2, and I think we're going to be on track for every 2 weeks at this point. So, looking forward to that. And just before we get going too deep, good news. I recently have been in contact with the GBS CIDP MMN Foundation. Whew, that's almost a tongue twister. And they provide patient advocacy, awareness for the demyelinating diseases. Anyway, long story short, it looks like we are going to be able to put on an event. It'll be in Birmingham. I don't have the dates yet. I'll let everybody know when we get closer. But I'll be co-chairing the event up there, and I'm very, very excited. That's probably understating it, but just extremely excited about the opportunity to bring awareness to these crazy diseases. With that, we'll just do a brief recap. When we last talked about the story, I got discharged, right? Wonderful. Almost 130 days in the hospital, and I got discharged. And what's the first thing you do when you get out? I went and had a beer, right? And I just kind of left the story like that. But actually, the rest of the day was wonderful too. That first day out, of course, I was in my wheelchair, leg braces, arm braces, right? Got to be fed, still got to be, all that good stuff. But me and my wife went to a Birmingham Barons baseball game, and that's a AAA baseball team in Birmingham, Alabama. Our apartment was just about a block and a half from Regents Field. And for those of you who know the area, kind of get an idea where we were living too. Crazy times right there in the hospital district. So with that recap, we'll go ahead after a long break here and kind of jump back into the story, right? So here I am. I'm discharged. I'm a free man, right? All of those months in the hospital. But we're free now. So happiness, extreme happiness. But then it turns into a reality check. I think probably as soon as that next morning, it hits you, right? No more nurses. They're going to be coming caring for you around the clock. No one to feed you, no one to clean you, no one to dress you, no one to work you out. All of that good stuff now was falling squarely on my shoulders and my wife as my primary caregiver. And like I said, that was a dose of reality right there. So thank God during this time when that was hitting, one of my brothers was staying with me, but they were actually tag teaming at this time moving forward. So my brother Sean was with me when we got discharged, and he stayed for a couple of weeks. And then my brother Huey came in, and we'll go ahead and then we'll talk more about that in the next episode. But like I said, thank God for their help and their care, because I don't know how we would have made it. So here I am. I'm out of the darn hospital, man. And, wow, right? It's a big, big world out there. And just trying to figure out how to make my way, how to live, how to function in this real world, or at least what was reality for me at the time. It was just so overwhelming. Everything had changed up at that point. So, just as you can imagine, so many things to do, right? I don't even think we wrote it down, or maybe Christy had a list. It wasn't like I was writing anything down then. But so many things we had to tend to get the ball rolling for the next part of my life. And with these things, then so many problems arise, right? You're trying to take care of things. So just to give you an idea, I get out the hospital, right? And again, happiness, kind of realize what you're facing. But then you learn things like, well, hey, I'm going to have to wait and then go get reevaluated for outpatient physical therapy and occupational therapy. And those things don't happen immediate. So after having PT 6 days a week for hours a day, I went to, hey, I'm home. I'm out of the hospital, but I'm not having any kind of organized physical therapy. Thank God our apartment complex had a little gym, and my wife, my brother, whoever was with me, would get me to the gym, and we would attempt a few things. And interesting times and some great stories in that alone. If you ever want your ego in check, um, try to try to move something in your mind you should be able to do, and you realize you can't lift or move anything still. Even I was so proud of the progress I had made up to that point. So those things are kind of hitting the head, right? And then, other problems that arise, like infusions. Well, hey, that's kind of important, right? I'm getting infusions every week. I'm getting my IVIG and my chemo drug, my Solaris. So here we are now, out of the hospital, and guess what? No infusions. Got to get booked with the infusion clinic. And then that went pretty good, actually. They had that worked out pretty good. But the fun part was that insurance wouldn't pay for the Solaris. So I could get part of my infusions, but I couldn't get the main drug that had made such a difference for me. And mentally, that was a blow. Physically, it actually took its toll on me. So to give you an idea, those who are familiar with insurance, I'm probably recapping stuff you know already. But when a insurance company denies a medication, like in this case, my Solaris, you can appeal that. So we did, and they turned it down again. So then the doctor requested a peer review. And so my doctor spoke with somebody there at Blue Cross of Alabama. He explained to him that I had been on this medicine for months at this point with tremendous benefit and improvement. And Blue Cross Blue Shield didn't care. They just assumed I would have went paralyzed again because they were not going to pay for a medicine that is not for my illness because it's off label. And if y'all remember how I talked about the drug, the doctor put me on this drug because she knew it would work, even though it was not for my illness. So that was all great then, and it worked, except now an insurance company doesn't want to pay for a drug that is $40,000 a dose. So welcome to the party in reality. So I think it was after the, oh my gosh, man, maybe fourth peer review, because my doctor, she's a wonderful advocate. I can never sing her praises enough. But so maybe 3 or 4 peer reviews, and it's still just turn down. And we're running out of options. But this is where my wife, her stubbornness comes in very, very handy. So she contacts the pharmaceutical company because, by golly, something's got to happen. Because during the course of this was weeks. Well, I started getting weaker again, and things kind of started reversing. So as you can imagine, the mental stress of, oh my God, there's a medicine that'll fix this, but I can't get the medicine anymore because the insurance won't pay for it. So she contacts the insurance company, and of course they blow her off. But again, her stubbornness and persistence, because she emailed them every day, sometimes multiple times a day. She called them every day and just, trying to get them to get some kind of assistance for me to get this medicine. The squeaky wheel gets the grease because guess what? About 2.5 weeks after she started contacting them, a representative called somebody different than who she had been speaking with and said, we'd like to talk to his doctor. And that was the first movement. Oh my God, man. That was its own miracle, right? The first movement in possibly me getting my medicine. So as you can remember, we got out there at the very end of June. This is going on all through July. So Christy gives the information for my doctor to the pharmaceutical company. And lo and behold, within days, my doctor calls and says, we're going to be able to get the medicine. So got the infusion scheduled, was able to get the medicine. And the way that happened is the pharmaceutical company, and I'd be remiss right now, and I hate to admit, I cannot remember the name of the pharmaceutical company, and that's kind of shame on my part. I'll have to look that up, and I'll edit it in. So if there's a weird edit right here, everybody'll know what that is. So the pharmaceutical company, Alexion, in conjunction with UAB and my physician, entered me into a research project. And thank God for that. So they give me the medicine. And again, it's the medicine I get twice a month. I have now for 3 years. And like I said, it sells for $40,000 a dose. And they still are giving it. Started out as a 1 year, and then we were able to extend it to 2. Got a little bumpy there after 2, but we're back on track here at the end of 3 and going forward. So very, very happy with that. And those were some crazy times back then to get to that point. Again, all the fun, right? PT, OT, getting that rescheduled, reevaluated, I'm sorry. The pharmaceutical company was the big problem. During this time also, we were shopping for a new wheelchair van. The van we had up to this point was a regular Toyota van, wasn't modified, but thank God some friends of ours gave us a lift that we were able to have mounted in the back of this van. All wonderful, except my new chair that was spec'd out because my illness had gotten so bad, because we had gotten this van, I think, back in February. The new chair was going to be about 500 pounds, maybe even excess of 500. And this lift could not lift that. So also wouldn't fit with the height. But again, what's life without problems on top of problems? So we get the specs for the chair. We are out van shopping. Okay, we can do it online, but we're online van shopping. And there was a local dealer there in Birmingham that we met with. And these things are just crazy, right? Crazy costs for these, even a used one. There's no way we could have afforded a new one. And when you're looking at needing this, for the rest of your life, at least at the time, that's what we expected. It was overwhelming, but we were working on that. So all of this going on, of course, with the therapy, physical therapy, we were able to get in, I think towards the end of July, we were able to get back on track with regular outpatient physical and occupational therapy, and that was awesome too. That is where I met one of my other angels, Deanna, who is my occupational therapist, and now I can say also a really good friend. And she did wonders for me back then, still to this day. Like I said, I keep in touch with several of my therapists, but she is definitely one of those that I can text, say, hey, I'm having a problem. This is what's going on, or this is what I need to work on. And she is still going to help me with a workout plan. And again, I've got 2 other therapists like that, but for outpatient, she's definitely one of my angels. So here we are, right? We get that scheduled. We're finally rolling at the end of July. August comes. I'm in a research project with the pharmaceutical company and UAB to get my Solaris. So, hey, life's got to be looking up at that point, right? Ultimately, we did settle on a van. It's a Honda Odyssey. It's a beautiful van, and of course, an older one, 2016. But it had everything we needed and expandable, or I could have it no matter if I got worse or better. It accommodated all, I don't know what you would say, I guess it can convert to all types of accommodations for me, the patient. So wonderful, right? Things are starting to level out, but it took 6 weeks being out of the hospital to even start breathing again, start thinking, okay, hey, this is going to be good. Now, during this time, there's so much else going on, right? Again, I can't feed myself. I can't dress myself. I can't clean myself. I can't bathe myself. So, Christy had started her new job. She's working nights at the hospital. At this time, at the beginning of that time, my brother Sean was there. And again, just doing wonderful, but funny stuff. I'm sure neither one of my brothers probably ever expected they'd have to sit there and dress their brother and clean their brother and feed their brother. But that's where we were. And again, I can't thank them enough for all of that. But some funny stuff at that time was the apartment in Birmingham was right at I'm not going to say let's say one of the main intersections for train tracks in Birmingham. I think there was like 10 tracks right outside of our apartment. Oh my gosh. Trains all day, all night, all day, all night, shaking the building, right? The noise, the vibrations. I call it trains of the world because turns out Birmingham's location, pretty much anything coming from the south, central, Gulf and all has to go through there. East, west, if you're west and you're trying to get to Atlanta and Atlanta trying to get west, pretty much comes through there. So about 50 trains a day. And I'm going to be honest, that's probably a conservative number, but 50 trains a day, I think is what we counted one time. Whew. Let's just say not the easiest thing to get used to. And you're talking to a man here that grew up by the New Orleans airport and had planes flying over his house regularly and daily, right? But oh, no. Trains, whole different thing, right? Whole different thing. But needless to say, it made it interesting. Something that is funny at that time, besides for that, was we were ultimately able to get another apartment on the other side of the complex. It's also going to be a bigger apartment because one thing I didn't say is we only got a 1-bedroom apartment because we didn't even think about people having to stay and take care of me or help take care of me. So my brothers during that time were all just sleeping on the couch. Not even a good like sofa sleep, a couch. And with all the trains, right? And so it was some crazy times during that point, but we were able to get moved into another apartment. And I'll talk a little bit more of that on the next episode. Much better location, better view. Still had the trains, but it didn't rattle the apartment so bad. So interesting times. That hits the highlights for that time period. Something I wanted to do, and I talked about it last episode, is I feel called to share more. So as you can hear, what we discussed earlier in this episode, control, right? I get out the hospital, you would think, hey, I'm in control, but really, just kind of lost all control. I had no control over it. Couldn't get the medication, couldn't get PT scheduled, had to get another van, didn't have that handy, didn't have the money for it. All of these things you're working out, right? But that's the foolish thing, is somehow we think we can control all of that in our life or whatever the problems are, right? And you know what? I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. But that used to drive me crazy, right? So much of our worry, so much of our mental stress is because we can't control certain situations or certain issues in our life. But part of that is we got to accept we can't control it all, And as I've learned to accept with this disease, which obviously I couldn't control, but I've had to learn how to accept it. And by golly, me and this disease are kind of like partners now in life. And I can control how I respond, right? We can control how we respond to problems, how our mind and our heart, we can control those things. And I've always had to remind myself during that time is, it's in God's time. And so again, we want to control things. I knew I wanted to control things. I'm so much better, but obviously, I wish I could control all aspects. But something you won't find me quoting scripture much, but in the book of Mark, chapter 4, I think it was like 36, maybe 36 to 40 or 38 to 41. But it talks about how Jesus asked to cross the Sea of Galilee after he had finished preaching, and the disciples had taken him across there, and big old storm kicks up, and they're just terrified, or actually they're very afraid, right? Fearful. And ultimately Jesus, again, I'm not quoting it word for word, but Jesus, he calms the storm, right? And he couldn't figure out, why are y'all so fearful? Why are y'all so scared? And the funny part was they were afraid during the storm of being capsized. They didn't have faith that they would make it across. But here's where it gets really crazy, is that after Jesus calmed the storm, they were terrified. And that verse, that speaks to me because, I prayed for a miracle. And I was being granted that miracle. So I was afraid of being paralyzed the rest of my life. I was afraid of that. But then when you start experiencing the power of God, and I started healing when they told me I would probably never heal up past a certain point. And I'll be honest, it was scary, because then, it's why me? Why is this happening? Oh my gosh, man, the greatness of truly receiving a miracle like that. Besides for being very humbling, I've struggled. I've struggled with accepting it, and just, again, at first, just so terrified of okay, hey, you've been given this miracle. What does this do? What does this in your mind? How do you process this? But then you step back and you realize that God is, all things are possible, right? There's nothing that he can't do. And we talked about God's timing, and boy, oh boy, I'll tell you this, and it's kind of a joke, but they say, God's always on time. Well, I'll tell you what, he's never early and he's never late. He is always on time. When it happens, it's in his timing. And we have to learn how to accept that, right? Again, we can't control the things going on in our life, but we can control how we respond and accept that God is working in our lives. So I had to get over not being in control, right? I had to learn how to quiet my mind and my heart and just receive, right? I had to learn how to live a blessed life. And most people are not able to do that. They could, but they're so busy, caught up in the noise, or even making noise. Like we all have those friends or family we know that, boy, if things are going good, they don't know what to do with themselves. They've got to do something to disturb the peace, if that makes any sense. And I think sometimes, we're afraid to kind of quiet our mind because we're afraid what we might hear. Or quiet our heart because we're afraid what we might feel. But I can tell you, it has done wonders for me, and the ability to accept the things I can't control, and the things I can, well then, we work on that. But I'd tell you, my friends, you can control your heart, you can control your mind, and that's pretty much it, right? But just relax, breathe, learn how to live a blessed life. So many people are wanting to be too busy, too much noise, and just cannot accept the blessings that are given to us. And there's blessings every day. If you woke up this morning and you're listening to this, you're blessed. And it's not because you're listening to this. You're blessed because you woke up, and you know what I mean. So with that, I'm going to start wrapping things up. A little teaser for next episode. I'm actually going to have a guest for the first time. I've never done that before. I do hope to do more of that in the future, and next episode will be the first go around with that. I'm going to leave it be a surprise, though. I'm not going to tell you who's going to be joining us, but there'll be some good stories shared, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope y'all are going to enjoy it like I know I am. So I want y'all to know I appreciate everybody. The text, the phone calls, the messages of encouragement, and letting me know that sharing this story of my journey is helping others in their journey and hopefully in their faith. So I know I talked about it previously, but it's so amazing. So getting close to 1,100 downloads in all of those different countries. I mean, like Russia, my God, I'm being downloaded in Russia, right? I guess don't tell the government, it's probably Russia collusion, but just in time for the election. But Russia, Germany, England, Canada, Mexico, a couple other, smaller countries there in Europe. It's I don't have the list in front of me, but it's been unbelievable. And of course, states now, I think I'm up to almost 39 of 40 states where this has been downloaded. And that is overwhelmingly humbling. And I want y'all to know that I don't take anything for granted, in the sense of if you give me your time to listen, it's very appreciated. And that's why I say if any comments, positive or negative, just please reach out, message me or email me. The email's fastbenderj@gmail.com. Have the Facebook page. If you have Facebook, it's the One Day Closer Podcast with Jay Fassbender. So again, sending nothing but love and positive vibes. I hope if you're listening to this that you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and make it a wonderful day. Remember, that is one thing you can control. Never forget to trust. Trust in the Lord, have faith. It's all going to work out. And remember, live your spirit.